We have unity of action. We lack unity of thought. But our unity of action, I mean, it shocks us. In 1965, the African and whites revolted. I mean, revolted. They shocked America, shocked themselves. We did that. I'm a revolutionary. Making and planning mass revolts is my job. I tell you a secret. I've been doing it a long time. When I was in SNCC, we used to use nonviolence as a cover to make rebellions in Houston, Texas, in Atlanta, Georgia, Cambridge, Maryland. I mean, we beat this guy King, yeah, we nonviolent, we bop him with a And that's all I do. And if anyone ever came to me and said, we want you to make a rebellion in Los Angeles, I'd really be happy to do that. But I have to honestly tell them that really at this time I can't do it. But these Africans in Los Angeles, they hear something they don't like, which they consider to be an injustice. Without the slightest planning, everybody en masse jumps up and takes on Los Angeles. We have strong unity of action. I mean, you have it too, don't get confused. If tonight, after I leave here, the local Klan rides up on the campus, puts up some racist signs, slaps a couple of sisters, brothers around, tomorrow morning, every African out here be out here. Even the Uncle Toms, let's get down, we got to do something. And I promise you, for 3 or 4 days, you'll be very hot. There'll be no peace on this campus for 3 or 4 days. White students even be afraid of you. And after 3 or 4 days, you will sit down, and you'll forget about it. And the Uncle Tom will say, oh, God, please don't let him come back before I graduate. We have unity of action. We lack unity of thought. It's because we lack unity of thought that our unity of action is so spontaneous. We jump up and sit down. We jump up and sit down. We must come to qualify our action. We must come to get unity of thought. This unity of action is powerful, and it comes from mobilization. A young student came to me the other day and said, oh, Brother Kwame Ture, I sure wish I was around the 60s. I said, why? I never want to go back in history. I want to go forward. And what lies before me is far greater and brighter than what lay before me in the 60s. He said, well, you know, in the 60s we were so united. I said, were we? He said, yeah. I told him, no, we were not. He said, we were. I said, no, we were not. Sajifo Kwame Nkrumah says, unity presupposes organization. If you have no organization, you can't be united. Unity is not a feeling. I imagine when the Klan comes up here and you're 3 or 4 days when you're real hot, everybody say, hey, brother, what's happening? Hey, sister, what's happening? Yeah, getting down, brother, sister. You think you got unity. Unity is not a feeling. Unity is not an emotion. Unity is a means of channeling the energies of the people towards given objectives within principles. In the 1960s, we had no organizations. We had mobilization. You must not get confused between mobilization and organization. The confusion can be compounded if one doesn't study properly Dr. King and doesn't know him. Dr. King was one of the greatest mobilizers this century's ever seen, but he never organized. He was not an organizer. And for him, he didn't need organizing. After all, Dr. King was a reformist. When you're a reformist, all you need to do is to put pressure on the people to tell them to do right. That's all Dr. King saw as his job, was to put pressure on the American government to show them that they should live up to the Constitution. That was his task. When you want power, you organize. Because you don't want to put influence, you want to seize power for yourself and do for yourself what you're putting pressure for the others to do for you. Because Dr. King never thought of organization. Of course, when you mobilize, everybody can be against the same thing. When you organize, everybody must be for the same thing. You mustn't think everybody being against the same thing means that everybody is for the same thing. That's where the confusion arises. The nationalist struggle, the struggle for independence in Africa, is indicative here. It's instructive. All Africans wanted the colonial system out. They wanted it destroyed. But some Africans, like Mobutu, wanted the white man out to take his place so they continue exploiting Africans. Some Africans, like Lumumba, wanted to destroy the colonial system so they can set up an equitable system for all Africans. Just because everybody's against the same thing doesn't mean everybody is for the same thing. When the Klan comes here, every African student will be against the Klan. We say even the Uncle Tom. But just because everybody's against the Klan together doesn't mean that everybody's for the same thing. And unity doesn't represent what you're against. It represents what you are for. Consequently, when one speaks of unity, one must speak of organization. No people can be free. No people will ever be free unless they are consciously organized.